just to give you an idea and put some things into context here, um, almost 500,000 to 1 million books are published annually. And that is traditionally published pieces. And if you're including self published authors, that author is more like 4 million book titles published each year. So I guess the point of those figures is, how do you plan on standing out as an author among so many new releases from year to year? The answer is, you can't just publish it and hope that it succeeds. You are going to have to embrace some form of digital marketing or marketing in some sense. Otherwise, you're going to fade into obscurity. So you might as well get comfortable with digital marketing, whether you like it or not. It is a necessary evil if you want to be successful. So there's a lot of ways, and we're going to delve into a lot of different methods in which to connect with readers and try to sell your books. So one thing that you can do, obviously, is leverage social media and building your online presence. And we'll talk about the individual social media platforms and the content that might be provided on each one of them, based on the fact that each platform kind of has a little bit of a different audience, and you're going to want to tailor things specifically to certain platforms. But you're going to have a social media presence if you're hoping to connect with readers. You can try direct communication and having an email newsletter. Now, I know a lot of self-published authors do create newsletters, and even traditionally published authors are typically required to have some sort of a mailing list. And anymore, if you are going to query any kind of literary agents, a lot of them will ask or want to know how many people that you have on social media or how many you have in an email list. So they're requiring you to do some form of digital marketing prior to even consider publishing, even traditionally, and that's not even included any self-published works. You're going to probably want to establish some sort of an author website. I know this is a difficult one. There are some pluses and minuses to having an author website. It is an additional expense, but if you operate it correctly, it can generate visibility online, but you need to understand search engine optimization in order to do so. So again, you're going to have to get comfortable with learning these new things and staying up to date, because it changes all the time. So you kind of have to adapt to survive, if you will. I really got into digital marketing during COVID. And that was primarily because all of my in-person events were canceled. So I make the majority of my sales face-to-face. So now I can't be face-to-face with my customers. So I have to reevaluate how I communicate with people. And the only way to do that is to do it online. So I really kind of had to dive into that and have a better understanding of it. And that was forced on me. So just word to the wise, be prepared, I suppose. Building your author platform and establishing your brand. Again, I kind of did this during COVID too. There was a lot of downtime, being stuck at home. And so coming up with a specific brand and establishing that online, it does go beyond just your colors and your logo. It is kind of your voice and your platform. I think it's really important as an author to have a brand, especially if you are an independently published author. It creates a sense of legitimacy to your business. Finding your niche and standing out in a crowded marketplace. As I said, the vast volumes of books that are published from year to year, how do you stand out when there are so many? You kind of have to drill down to your specific niche and really understand your specific work, and not your work as a whole, but each individual book might have its own specific niche. And so researching your keywords and your subgenres and really drilling down to who is my audience and who am I marketing to. Understanding that will help you kind of zero in on your marketing efforts. You can choose to leverage book promotion services to reach a wider audience, or do digital ads on social media platforms, Google, Amazon. I do caution you to be very careful with there. When you do publish, you will get a plethora of people trying to tell you that they can market your book or make it a bestseller or XYZ. I can tell you that probably the vast majority of them are scammers trying to part you from your money. So be very, very careful. Digital marketing is something that you can learn just as easy as someone else. Sure, there are people that go to school for it, and there are very specifics, but I think you get a lot of people who want to be freelance, who have not been traditionally trained in these things. And so they aren't necessarily going to do it any better than you could do yourself, unless you just don't have time or any kind of interest in doing it, and you could pay somebody. But again, make sure that you get references and that you're very, very careful on who you use. And as far as book promotions, be very, very careful. There are a lot of scams out there for that, as well as making sure that you're adhering to rules and regulations as far as that's concerned. And we will delve into that deeper. My 9-to-5 job, I'm a compliance officer, so I read rules, regulations, state and local law all the time. And I've been round and round with some of these book promotion services, and the vast majority of them are engaging in illegal reviews. So with that being said, be very careful and just have a level of honesty whenever you're out there. Don't cut corners. Don't try to lie in your marketing and say I'm a best-selling author or award-winning unless you've actually done those things. I feel like there is a lot of untruthful claims out there. A lot of people, you'll get these, oh, you can be a bestseller, buy my book. There's no right or wrong way to become a bestseller. There's not a cookie cutter plan to become a bestseller. It is somebody trying to sell you a book, just like you're trying to sell your books out there. And 9 times out of 10, whenever I go to look these people up, they don't have anything out there published. So how can you claim that you're a best-selling author and not have anything out there at all? It's all just a scam. So be very, very careful and be mindful. Sure, you can get tips from some of those things, but you can also get those tips for free online. And just be wary of somebody who's like, you can make $1 million a year on this book. I find that very, very hard to believe. Be skeptical. It's okay to be skeptical. Be careful out there. There's a lot of scams out there online. You can also, if you have your social media accounts, making sure that you're engaging with an online community and building relationships with readers. Now, one thing that you want to be careful of, I see a lot of authors out there that join other author groups. And while that's great to develop a network and mentor, you are not getting in front of the reader, and nobody's going to buy your book. On the same page, I also see accounts where the only thing they post is an advertisement for their book. It's very impersonal. It's very spammy. A lot of times people will follow me, other authors will follow me on Twitter. I will go to look at their Twitter feed. If it is nothing but spammy advertisements for their book and they have no other content to speak of, they're not going to get a follow back. I appreciate if you're following me and hopefully you're getting content from me, but I'm not going to follow you back just to be constantly spammed by your book, because let's face it, there's a lot of books out there. I'm not going to buy all of them. So when I say building relationship with readers, that's engaging with readers online, not just supplying good content, but also having contributions to conversations online that are meaningful, um, and engage in a back-to-back type of conversation. We'll get into more of the details than that in a further vlog. Also, again, cautioning against unethical practices. We are going to get into the details of upholding integrity in your book promotions and making sure truth and honesty. Because let's face it, you could lie and you can get ahead. But chances are it's going to eventually catch up to you and it could destroy your entire platform. So it's just better to be honest and upfront with your readership and your audience from the get-go than have to apologize on the back end. So again, we're going to delve into all of this further, and break it out into pieces and have conversations about digital marketing and how it works for authors.